immediately be yours, and you can start building right then if you have all of the resources and things that you want to build with.
Right.
Let's see. So, we already talked about the fact that yes, you can join a claim to another one of yours, so it's on the side. And yeah, one of the questions was, can you build across that boundary easily and continuously? And the answer is yes. You know, as long as you control those spaces, you can make a wall that spans those joined claims together, or whatever the construction you want is. There doesn't have to be that. There isn't going to be a gap between it. Now there can be if you want to. That's entirely up to you.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. We've talked about upkeep. Oh, one of the cool ones, somebody asked about whether or not there was going to be storage on claims. The idea is, and absolutely, yes, there's, we do have your personal inventory, and we have the vaults, which we've talked about in relation to the Founders Packs. But we also have what we're calling chests.
Each claim is going to have a number of chests. Those chests will store the things like your props and the other types of things that you're going to build with. So
yeah, but the expectation,
there's an upgrade path for all that stuff.
Yeah, and the expectation is that if you put something in a chest on a given claim, you have to go back to that one, to that particular chest in order to retrieve it. Whereas the vault is more of a global inventory that you can access from anywhere.
The vault is smaller than the chest.
Right,
so
yeah, you can
trade-offs.
Far more there. So things you don't need all the time or you don't need immediate access to, you'll probably put in a chest. You know.
So one question that I just saw was, is the claim locked to the grid, or do you have the ability to rotate it or move it at all?
Currently, it is locked to the grid because we want you to be able to build entirely within it, right? And so you get that weird thing that if you turn it off of grid, right, what happens when you want to build in that spot that's partially in yours and partially out of yours?
Right.
So to remove any of those ambiguities, it just makes a lot more sense.
That would make it, yeah, it would make your claim less efficient to do it that way.
Yeah, and it seems like people would rarely do that. You know, let's see. One of the other claims is, can you transfer a claim? Dave and I have talked about this a number of times, but the answer is yes. In the long term, we're going to allow you to transfer a claim to somebody else, or to package it up and put it up for sale on Player Studio. Those are things that we've talked about at the different conventions and things like that. So those are absolutely in our plans. A lot of these we've already answered, so I'm just going through making sure we've covered them. I think
another question I've seen a few times is, can people's claims interact? Like, can people join their claims to someone else's claims?
So that's an interesting question, and right now I don't know that we've made a decision on that, right?
Well, certainly initially there's going to be buffer space between your claims and other people's claims for the purposes of performance. But you can butt your own claims up against one another and give people permission, so you can do large build-outs in there using that method.
Okay. But I think what we'll do is we'll watch an alpha and we'll see what people want, and you know, if it turns out that this is something that is highly desirable, we'll go down the path of investigating, you know, how we can make that work, what options we can give players to be able to do the kinds of things they want to do. That's why we're letting people in so early in the game, is so that we can get that kind of feedback. We haven't made all of these decisions yet. We have ideas, but we haven't chosen on, particularly some of those, exactly the path that this game is going to take. Somebody asked whether or not claims would be wiped at the end of open beta. And the answer is, at the end of open beta, no. At the end of closed beta, yes. You know, a very clear distinction between those two different events in the timeline of the game.
And I know that was a big question, because one of the things that comes in the Trailblazer pack
is the early access to that.
Early access to open beta and that head start. So since the plan is that there won't be that wipe, then yes, that early access, those 48 hours gets you that jump in to claim your spot.
The literal land rush.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the whole goal of that, is that, you know, for you guys who are with us from Alpha and learning about this game and really understanding, you know, the value of having that land, we wanted you guys to have, you know, a small amount of time, but I think plenty of time to get in and find the best spots. You know, after you've been playing through the Alpha and the Beta, you should know what good real estate looks like. And so I think that's going to end up being a huge advantage.
You know, you want to build a mountaintop peak? Well, find a mountaintop.
You got to go.
ASAP.
Yeah, exactly. because otherwise they may all be taken.
Yep.
Did you guys see that movie Far and Away?
Yes, right. Yeah, we have used that as an example on more than one occasion. Somebody else asked a couple of questions about cross servers and claims, because we haven't clarified that. This is a great time to talk about that, which is whether or not you can go to another server, which we're going to make easy, so that you can go between the different servers really simply. You can mine on whatever server, whatever continent you want, and then as long as it's in your inventory, you can take it to other servers. Yeah. You can use it. If you go to one server and you happen to find an awesome, gold mine, and you take all of that, you take it back to another server, and you build your gold pyramid there. We've got no problem with that at all. That's the reason that one of the reasons that you can easily move around is so to help you guys find the things that you're looking for, whether that be the places in the world, or the resources, or the props or recipes, or any of those things. We want you to be able to go out there and find those and bring them back to your claim to build those amazing things.
So one question I saw that's related to wipes is, will you have the ability somehow, and I know the answer is yes, to take the things that you've built before a wipe and transfer them after?
Yeah, it's going to work exactly like we were talking about if you let your upkeep lapse, right, where we're going to package everything up for you. Anytime we're going to do a wipe that isn't also a character wipe, we will do the same thing for you. So we will package up the things that you've built. You don't even have to do it on your own, though of course you can, just to make sure that you have the exact things that you want. We're going to package all that up so that you don't lose that work. It'll give you an advantage, going into rebuilding that after that wipe. You'll have that template. You'll have all the things that you've done. You may have to go out and collect resources at that point in time, but you'll have that sort of leg up over somebody who wasn't in alpha or closed beta, because you'll have all of that.
Yeah, and on our website, on eqnlandmark.com, if you go to the FAQ, which I believe is eqnlandmark.com/landmark-FAQ, that actually has the, no, Luper's is in chat, she put it in there earlier. Thanks.
Okay.
But that actually has the proposed wipes between alpha, closed beta, and open beta, and what will be wiped during each of those. So you can take a look at that there for all of the specific details.
Yeah, and that, I should note, is our best guess. I asked Terry and the team to go through and lay out when they were 100% sure we were going to have wipes. So there are these points, during alpha especially, there may be other wipes. And that's just part of testing, right? If something is broken, if something messes up,
Well, I mean, it just comes down to, we've been in development for a long time. If there's a suggestion from the people from the founders pack, the Trailblazers and the Explorers, sorry, I forgot the name for a moment. If they're in there and they give us a suggestion on how to change something in the world, and it requires some underlying systemic changes, we may have to do a wipe in order to make that a possible thing. But we'll weigh the desire that the players have and how it fits into the game. And if we make that choice, we may have to do a wipe. We're going to minimize it as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, like an example would be if we decided to make the claims larger, right?
Right.
We would probably have to do a wipe because we have them so far apart right now, and if we made them 20% larger, they would be butting up against each other or going into each other.
Right. So there may be times where we would have to do that sort of thing.
The whole world basically becomes broken. We have to start over.
Right. But again, we're gonna minimize that as much as we possibly can. And we've done a lot of good work up till now to make sure that the systems are extensible and things like that, so that we won't have to do wipes if we change particular things in the game. I had a couple of others that I found here that weren't particularly related to claims, but they're related enough that it seemed like a good time to answer them, which is whether or not we're going to have navigational aids. We talked about that. Obviously we showed some of the stuff where you can see things in the world. We are also going to have a map that you're going to be able to see, view the continent that you're on with all those claims, find the things that you're interested in. We're going to have ways for you to know where your claims are in the world, both on the map or on a compass, things like that, the kind of navigational aids that make the most sense for getting around in this world and finding the things that you want. One of the other questions was whether or not there's going to be fast travel to your claims. Darren, you want to talk to some of our ideas about that?
You'll be able to fast travel to your claim once you have gone through the progression enough to gain the itemization for it. So there'll be numerous ways to fast travel around the continents, because we really want players to be able to hop between servers and hop between continents to view other people's stuff.
Right.
So that's a big component, is being able to use the ley line network, which we've talked about before, to travel.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there isn't you have to go out and wander around the world. You have to explore on your own. This isn't a I'm going to teleport right to where I want to.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's nothing. It's nothing as easy as that. You know, this game is about exploration and seeing what's out there in the world.
Yeah, the continents are pretty big.
Yeah. And then
So
I think that covers everything.
Another good question I got,
Yeah.
well, I'm certainly not reading that one out loud, is, so a bunch of people, and I know this probably will change, are asking, can I put my claim way down in the ground? Can I put my claim on top of my other claim? Have we talked about that?
All right.
Yeah, so the expansion of your adding on to an additional claim and doing it vertically doing it horizontally is what we can do now, and we definitely want to do vertical. We want people to build really tall buildings. That'll be great. We don't know how much we want you to go down underground because that's a lot of exploration gameplay is down there. So some amount, but not too much. Into the sky, a lot more probably.
Yeah, but don't forget that people can't come in and claim underneath of you, because we talked about that.
Right.
So
you own that.
So you own that vertical space, even if it's not part of your claim and you can't necessarily build on it. You still have, I guess, rights to it that other people don't have.
Yeah, I mean, for ultimate clarity, they own the future rights to that. Someone can mine under my claim, but I haven't claimed that spot yet.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this really highlights something that's very important about why we're letting people into alpha, right? We haven't made all of these decisions final yet. And one of the ways, if you feel strongly one way or the other, one of the ways that you can help us is by proving your use case in alpha when things are still changeable, right? If we're seeing that everyone wants to build skyscrapers, right, maybe all claims just become higher naturally. If we see that people really want to build these underground, elaborate Minas Tirith type places like, that's not underground, is it? I'm thinking
well, that's a floating island, isn't
Minas
it?
Morgul is the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
Sorry, Tolkien fan. But
The riot you are about to cause is insane.
Sorry, please don't hold it against me.
Yes. I have seen all the movies.
Oh, you just made it worse.
My favorite one was the last one. No, but I mean, if that's something you want, if we want to see big dwarven cities, and I can name every dwarven city, believe me, then prove it, show us. And that's what this feedback process is. There's no time better to influence this discussion than in alpha, because everything, everything is still being discussed and debated and designed.
Yeah, and we definitely, that doesn't mean we don't have ideas. We've talked about all of these things, but we're being very clear and not locking ourselves into those, so that we can have this relationship with you guys. You can help us. You can be part of the development team. You can jump in there and you can provide feedback in the same way that anybody on the development team can stop by and talk to Darren and give him an idea of something that they think the game would make the game better. That's exactly what you're going to be able to do when you're inside of alpha communicating with us.
And so another question that I saw, and I think that this actually gets a little bit into the upkeep question, is, and I thought this was a great question, by the way, what's to stop someone from creating 100 accounts and having 100 claims that way?
Well, I mean, with the upkeep that we're talking about, that's one of the things that we want. I promise you, if you create 100 accounts, you probably won't be able to manage the upkeep on 100 different accounts on a regular basis.
And if you can, we love you.
Yes, and if you can, I am. You are the most dedicated player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you're in there doing crazy things.
But I mean, I think this really does. It gets to one of the reasons, we've known ever since we started talking about upkeep that it was going to be a little bit controversial. It's a mechanic that we need. And there's a lot of reasons that we need it, and this is one of them, right? We cannot have people create 1,000 accounts and just put up garbage or just take up the whole world.
Yeah, and then the people who actually want to play the game can't, because they're being griefed by these people. And we're talking about a number of ways to restrict this, not just through the use of the upkeep system. We're also talking about other ways. One great example is that not in alpha, but when you're playing, when you get into, say, for instance, open beta, right? You're not going to start the game with a claim flag. You are going to have to go out in the world and you're going to have to earn it.
Yep.
And now it won't take a ton of time to go do that. It'll be quick. You know, it'll probably be measured in minutes. I think would be a minutes or fives of minutes.
Fives, tens of minutes.
Fives of minutes. I've coined a new term in that sort of thing, so that somebody can't just go create an account and then claim part of the world and then leave it there. You know, they're actually going to have to play the game. They're going to have to do things. You know, this is good stuff for the game.
Yeah, but stuff we're definitely aware of and planning around for sure.
All right. I mean, there's still a ton of questions going by.
I know.
Unfortunately, I was reading off of our list of questions that we pulled from forum posts and off of Twitter and things like that.
So keep asking questions. I mean, one thing that I want to say real quick, well, I'll say two things real quick. The first one is you're watching us on Twitch right now, and we're going to be live streaming a lot. We're going to be live streaming during that event on the 31st. So if you go ahead and follow us here on Twitch, then you'll get a notification every time that we go live. It'll just help you understand our schedule a little better and get that reminder so that you can come out with us. We also have all sorts of social networks, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTubes that we use from time to time. And we would love the YouTubes.
That thing those kids are doing these days.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I saw a cat on there.
Wow, funny cats.
Just one time on YouTube?
Yeah. And
you were looking at the wrong part of YouTube.
Yeah. And there's this funny dog now that's named Doge, like a Venetian lord. I don't understand.
Is proving his hipness in spades today.
Yeah, but we would love to have you follow us there because it'll help us, you know, get this information to you more quickly, including the never before seen video that we're going to end this cast with.
What? They haven't seen that?
No, they not the one we're going to show. Actually, I just saw one scroll by, and I apologize because I know there are a lot of great questions. Somebody asked, "Is there a way once you've placed a claim to pick it up and move it to somewhere else or things like that?" And the answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the choices you make are not permanent.
We'll pack all your stuff up.
Yeah, create a template of it.
And then you put it down, it'll be just like you
have. And you can keep that template and use it somewhere else. Or say you found an area and you don't like what you're doing there, you can pick up that claim flag, and now you have a claim flag. You move somewhere else in the world, you find a place you like, and you can plunk it down there, and you can start building in that area. So it's absolutely recoverable. As I believe the person asking the question had. And there's one that's a very controversial question that I saw go by, which was, why do you have to pay money to help us develop a game? And the answer is, you don't. We're not asking you. If you want to, you can. And this is the best answer to that. You know, it is a game. It's going to be free to play. Everybody can play it. You don't have to pay a cent if you don't want to. You know, if you want to get in early, if you want to see things, if you want to help us, then you can choose to do that. But that's all there is to it.
And the number of discussions we've had about this too, and one of the reasons that we were charging for alpha access is because it's such a rough game. It's such a different experience than even jumping into a beta that we only wanted people who are going to be serious about it and who are actually going to help us. You know, like Dave is so fond of saying, you know, you're not a player, you're not a bug tester, you're not any of these things. You're coming on and you're an arm of the development team.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you know, so we need people who are going to be serious. You know, to come in and help us with this. So that's one of the reasons that we put up the gate. And as Terry said, you don't have to pay. We're more than happy. You know, we'll be in closed beta and open beta before you know it. And you know, it's a free to play game, so
everybody will be able to play this game when they want to. And that's really the key: is when do you want to play the game? When do you want to jump in there and see what we're doing?
And so another question. Well, it's actually about 1 million questions that I've seen go by. So I'll ask it as one question: is there's a lot of what's happening, like what's going to be an alpha? Like, is SOE Moat going to be there from day one? Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you can expect on day one of alpha and some of the things maybe that you can't?
Well, I mean, yeah, so there's a number of things, and the list is very long to go through all of it. But I mean, the things that we've been showing off to you in these live streams, the things we've been talking about during our dev diaries, where we're actually showing you the in-game footage, that's a great example of some of the things that are going to be there. You know, building, exploration, the claims, you know, all of those things that are so fundamental to the game of what Landmark is going to be, those are going to be there, not in a complete form, right? We've talked about the fact that we want your help in extending these things and making them what they're going to be. But they are going to be there enough so that the core gameplay that we're expecting are going to be part of it. Combat is not going to be a part of Alpha.
But we'll have crafting.
You know, but we will have some of the crafting at the very least.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but we will have some of it so that you can get in there and you can see how these things are going to work in the game. And then, you know, tell us if you like them or not. Give us ideas for ways that we could theoretically make it work better inside of the systems that we've got and things like that. And then we'll evolve the game from there.
Yeah, and again, I think it's worth underlining. It's alpha, right? And so the full game will have combat. It will have all these systems that you're expecting. You know, but if you want to come in and help us develop this game, to be there from day one and really, you know, contribute to the game, you're going to have to see it in its incomplete state, just like we do.
And that's, I think that's you can't overemphasize that. As a developer, it's always fun to take a project from concept into development and see it grow. And every day, oh, that new thing got checked in. That's great. That's super fun. Then we can start playing with it. Players never get that opportunity. Right, they come in when things are largely finished, designs are completed, and these systems are done, and this allows the people in alpha to come in and see that process as well, and it's a blast.
And because of that, one of the things that I know people have asked frequently is, you know, well, can we stream alpha? Can we do this? Can we do that? No, there is an NDA for alpha, and this is one of the reasons, is because it's a process. You're not playing the game, so there's no real streaming aspect of it. It's development. It's pieces of that. So there is an NDA for alpha. There's also an NDA if you are coming to the event on the 31st.
Yes.
And one thing to note, that if you are under 18, you will have to, if you're coming to the event, you have to have a parent or guardian sign the NDA for you. So please let us know that when you RSVP. But so that's a little side note, but yes, there will be an NDA in place for
And
alpha.
just to be clear, and I believe I'm accurate on this, and you can clarify if I'm wrong, the NDA is if you are going to participate in the demo of the game.
Right.
You do not...
Or go on the tour.
Or go on the tour.
Yeah.
So either of those things, you will have to take part in the NDA. But the rest of the stuff that's going on, you can be here, you can take part in if you're unwilling or unable to participate in the NDA portion of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I think that covers a ton of information. And
Yes.
remember, Colette mentioned it, that we are going to be putting this out in an article where we detail all of this information out and make sure we spell it out very clearly so that hopefully we can avoid some confusion. And you guys, if you're having conversations about it, if you want to reference it when you're talking to us, you'll be able to use that as a source to say this is exactly what they meant, regardless of whether or not I stumbled over a word here or there or gave you the wrong impression by something I said. We want to make sure this is exceedingly clear. So.
Right.
Yeah, and could we toss up that email address one more time? And you know, so again, this is, if you could RSVP if you're actually going to come to the event.
Yes.
It would really help us, you know, just to determine numbers, so we can figure out like how many wristbands to buy, and you know, and how long we think that we can do the demos.
Is it going to be 15 minutes, or is it going to be 20 minutes, or whatever the case may be?
And while you're watching, buy a Founders Pack. You know, come on.
If you want to.
Yeah.
Not if you don't.
If you want to. Terry's the good cop, I'm the bad cop. You know, we really are excited about being able to share this early part of the game and, you know, let people like Darren out and, you know, unleash them on the world so that, you know, you can actually have these discussions. And so we think it's a great thing to, you know, to have these Founders Packs and to get you guys in. And we're doing the great Trailblazer Thursday promotion where, you know, we put people up on the front page of our websites for, you know, who've purchased and who are excited about being a Trailblazer. But yeah, I mean, we would love to have you involved. You know, what we've seen so far in the Founders forums has been just tremendously good discussion, like really interesting stuff, you know. And if you've ever, you know, wanted to design games or wanted to see how games are designed, or, you know, just wanted that ability to interact with, you know, senior members of you know, one of the top game design teams in the world, like this is probably the best chance you're ever going to have. So come on.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so we do have one more thing, and it does relate to a question that people have that's been going by, and that is, will there be danger in Landmark? Will there be things in the world that perhaps...
Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah,
well, I mean, Dave's going to be there.
Well, Omid's going to be
Omid's going to be in the game,
There's
so
danger
yes,
in the world.
there's definitely going to be danger and risk, apparently. No.
The board game, or
I don't know.
Both.
No, not
Both.
that, because I believe that's trademarked. There will be no risk in our game.
that's right. But
Not the board game.
right.
Yeah, so the answer is that we've talked about the fact that we want there to be combat, you know, not at alpha, without a doubt, not then, but as we progress the game, that is going to be something that you guys are going to be able to see. And so we have this video to show off one of the
Hazards.
Hazards.
Yeah, we'll call them hazards in the world.
That's a good way to say it.
So thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the video.